Beloved, there are moments in destiny when heaven decides that enough is enough. There are seasons where you have prayed, fasted, waited, and endured. You have questioned God silently. You have wondered if your tears were seen and if your sacrifices were recorded. But hear this by the Spirit. A sudden shift is about to change your direction. There is something about divine shifts. They do not always announce themselves. They come suddenly. They come quietly. They come with force. In one moment you are struggling. In the next moment, doors begin to open. In one season, you are confused. In the next season, clarity floods your spirit. This Monday, 16 February, marks more than a date on a calendar. It marks a prophetic intersection. An intersection between where you have been and where you are about to go. Heaven is rearranging things. God is adjusting alignments. Conversations are happening in the spirit realm concerning you. There is something powerful about understanding divine timing. Many people assume that when God is silent, he is absent. But in the kingdom, silence does not mean inactivity. It means preparation. It means orchestration. It means that heaven is arranging details that your eyes cannot yet see. Divine timing is not accidental. It is intentional, precise, and flawless. When God decides to shift a man, he does not begin at the moment the shift becomes visible. The preparation started long before the manifestation. What looks sudden in the physical was carefully designed in the spirit. The breakthrough you will celebrate publicly was first established privately. The open door you are about to walk through was authorized long before you ever saw the handle. There is a difference between human timing and divine timing. Human timing is driven by impatience, pressure, comparison, and fear. Divine timing is driven by purpose. And purpose is not rushed. God is not anxious. He is not intimidated by your age, your background, or your present circumstances. He works according to a calendar that is higher than human understanding. Sometimes you feel delayed because you are measuring your life against other people. You see others moving ahead, getting married, building businesses, traveling the world, stepping into platforms, and you wonder why your own life feels paused. But what if your pause is not punishment? What if it is preparation? What if God is strengthening your character so that when the opportunity arrives, you will not collapse under the weight of it? Divine timing also involves alignment. There are people who must be ready before your shift can occur. There are resources that must be positioned. There are conversations that must happen behind closed doors. There are battles in the spirit that must be settled before doors open in the physical. If God were to release certain blessings prematurely, they would destroy you instead of promoting you. Many people pray for elevation but resist process. They want the throne but reject the training. They desire visibility but avoid responsibility. Divine timing ensures that when you rise, you are stable. When you are announced, you are prepared. When you are trusted with influence, your heart has been refined. Understand this. God does not waste seasons. Every waiting period has purpose. Every closed door carries a lesson. Every disappointment shapes something within you. While you thought nothing was happening, strength was forming, wisdom was increasing, discernment was sharpening, your spiritual capacity was expanding. Divine timing also protects you from unnecessary battles. There are environments you once desired that would have crushed you if you had entered them too early. There are relationships you once prayed for that would have distracted you from destiny. There are opportunities that looked attractive but were not aligned with your assignment. God's delay saved you from damage you did not foresee. When the appointed time arrives, things move with unusual ease. Doors open without struggle. Favor speaks without manipulation. What once required exhausting effort begins to respond naturally. That is how you recognize divine timing. There is grace attached to it. There is peace surrounding it. There is confirmation within your spirit. But here is the mystery. You cannot force divine timing. You can only prepare for it. Preparation is your responsibility. Manifestation is God's responsibility. While you wait, build capacity. While you wait, develop skill. While you wait, deepen your prayer life. While you wait, refine your character. Because when the shift comes, it will not ask whether you feel ready. It will demand that you are ready. There is also the element of faith. Divine timing often stretches faith to uncomfortable levels. You will stand in moments where nothing makes sense. You will question whether you heard God correctly. You will feel tempted to compromise just to escape uncertainty. But faith anchors you in the confidence that if God promised it, he will bring it to pass at the right time. The beauty of divine timing is that it restores what seemed lost. It can compress years into months. It can cause one encounter to change a lifetime trajectory. It can reposition you from obscurity to relevance in a way that leaves no doubt that God was involved. When he moves, he does not need human validation. You must train your heart to trust the process. Complaining will not accelerate it. Anxiety will not speed it up. Comparison will only drain your peace. Trust allows you to rest while heaven works. Trust allows you to worship in the waiting. Trust allows you to remain obedient even when results are not visible. And when the shift finally manifests, you will look back and understand why certain doors had to close. You will understand why some relationships ended. You will understand why certain plans failed. You will see that what you called delay was divine design. What you called rejection was redirection. What you called loss was protection. Divine timing is not about making you comfortable. It is about making you complete. It is about ensuring that when your direction changes, you do not merely enter a new season. You are equipped to sustain it. The sudden shift that is coming is not random. It has been scheduled. It has been authorized. It has been prepared. Your assignment now is simple. Stay aligned. Stay faithful. Stay expectant. Because when heaven says it is time, nothing in this world will be able to stop what God has decided to release. There are moments in destiny when God interrupts your carefully constructed plans. And most times, those interruptions do not look divine. They look inconvenient. They look painful. They look like disappointment. You had a timeline. You had expectations. You saw your future unfolding in a certain direction. And suddenly, something happens that disrupts everything. A job you were certain about slips away. A relationship you invested in ends unexpectedly. A door you prayed over closes without explanation. And in those moments, it feels like loss. It feels like confusion. It feels like God has allowed chaos into your life. But what if that interruption is not destruction? What if it is redirection? God's interruptions are not random. They are strategic. When he interrupts, it is because your current path, though comfortable, is not aligned with your ultimate assignment. Sometimes we pursue what is good while God is preserving what is best. And the difference between good and best is often revealed through disruption. We are creatures of habit. We like predictability. We find security in routine. Even if the routine is limiting, at least it is familiar. But destiny is rarely comfortable. Purpose will demand that you move beyond what feels safe. And when you resist moving willingly, God may allow circumstances to move you forcefully. Consider how many breakthroughs begin with breakdowns. The very thing you cried over became the reason you grew. The opportunity that failed forced you to develop new skills. The betrayal that wounded you opened your eyes to discernment you previously lacked. The delay that frustrated you built patience and endurance within you. If everything had gone according to your plan, you might have settled for less than your calling required. Divine interruption exposes misplaced trust. Sometimes we trust systems more than we trust God. We trust people more than we trust divine guidance. We trust our own understanding more than spiritual wisdom. And so God allows something to shake the foundation, not to harm you, but to shift your dependence. There is also a refining dimension to interruption. When your plans are disrupted, your true motives are revealed. Were you pursuing that path out of purpose or pride? Was that relationship aligned with your destiny or driven by loneliness? Was that ambition fueled by calling or comparison? Interruption becomes a mirror that reveals what is hidden beneath the surface. Many people misinterpret divine redirection as failure. They assume that because something ended, they lost. But in the kingdom, endings are often transitions. The closing of one chapter is the preparation for another. And sometimes God closes a door, not because you are unqualified, but because the environment is not worthy of what he is building in you. It takes spiritual maturity to discern the difference between attack and adjustment. Not every closed door is the enemy. Not every obstacle is opposition. Some barriers are divine protection. Some denials are mercies in disguise. If you had obtained certain things when you wanted them, you might have compromised values, delayed growth, or entered battles you were not equipped to fight. Divine redirection often feels uncomfortable because it demands surrender. You must release your version of how life should unfold. You must let go of timelines you created. You must accept that God sees further than you do. Surrender is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is acknowledging that the one who created your destiny understands it better than you ever could. There is also courage required in divine interruption. When plans change suddenly, fear tries to take control. Questions arise. What next? How will this work out? Did I make a mistake? But faith steps forward even when answers are incomplete. Faith says that if God allowed this shift, he has already prepared provision for the next phase. Some of the greatest testimonies are born from interrupted plans. Stories of transformation often begin with unexpected detours. A rejected application leads to a better opportunity. A cancelled contract pushes you to start your own venture. A painful ending births a new beginning that aligns more deeply with purpose. You must also understand that divine interruption can accelerate destiny. What seems like a setback may actually shorten your journey. If you continued on a path that was misaligned, you might have wasted years. But one interruption can reposition you instantly. It can change your environment, your circle, your focus, and your trajectory. When God interrupts, he does not leave you empty. He replaces what he removes. He strengthens what he stretches. He clarifies what he confuses. The key is to remain sensitive. Ask not only, why did this happen? But also, what is God teaching me through this? And where is he directing me now? There is peace available even in disruption. It comes from trusting that you are not abandoned. It comes from believing that there is intelligence behind the interruption. It comes from knowing that redirection is evidence that your life is too valuable to drift without guidance. The interruption you are experiencing may be the doorway to your next level. The detour may lead to discovery. The disruption may position you for alignment, and one day you will look back and thank God for the very thing that once made you cry. Because sometimes the greatest blessing is not when God allows your plan to succeed, but when he lovingly interrupts it and leads you towards something far greater than you imagined. Alignment is a spiritual law. It is not noise. It is not emotion. It is not mere activity. It is positioning. Many people desire a sudden shift, but few understand that shifts respond to alignment. When a man is aligned, heaven's resources flow without unnecessary resistance. When a man is misaligned, even small progress feels like warfare. Alignment begins with obedience, not partial obedience, not convenient obedience, complete obedience. The kind that responds even when instructions are uncomfortable. The kind that moves even when the destination is unclear. Obedience is proof of trust. And trust is the currency of the spirit. When God sees that he can trust you with small instructions, he entrusts you with greater direction. Sometimes the instructions that align you will not make sense to others. You may be asked to leave an environment that looks secure. You may be prompted to forgive someone who does not deserve it. You may feel led to start something with no visible support. Alignment will often separate you from the approval of people, because it is not people who validate destiny. It is God who authors it. Alignment also requires sensitivity. You cannot align with what you cannot discern. Many people are too distracted to recognize divine signals. Noise fills their minds. Comparison fills their hearts. Fear clouds their judgment. But sensitivity is cultivated in stillness. It is developed in prayer. It grows in an atmosphere of intimacy with God. When you are spiritually sensitive, you begin to notice subtle shifts. You sense when a season is ending, even before circumstances confirm it. You perceive when a relationship has completed its assignment. You recognize when grace has lifted from a particular environment. Sensitivity protects you from overstaying in seasons that have expired. Another dimension of alignment is purity of motive. You may be doing the right thing externally, but internally, your motives determine whether you are truly aligned. Are you pursuing success to glorify God or to impress people? Are you serving out of love or out of competition? Are you building from purpose or from insecurity? Alignment is not only about actions, it is about the condition of the heart. Misalignment often reveals itself through constant frustration. You work hard but feel empty. You achieve milestones but feel no peace. You push forward but sense resistance at every turn. It is possible to be productive and still be misaligned. It is possible to be busy and yet be outside of divine timing. Alignment produces a different kind of progress, one that carries peace alongside productivity. There is also relational alignment. The people around you influence your direction more than you realize. Some relationships are assignments, others are distractions. Some connections sharpen you, others dilute your focus. When God is about to shift your direction, he often rearranges your circle. Certain voices fade, new voices emerge. It may feel lonely for a season, but isolation is sometimes necessary for realignment. Alignment requires courage because it may demand separation. You cannot step into a new direction while clinging to old habits. You cannot embrace higher levels while maintaining lower mindsets. Growth requires pruning, and pruning is rarely comfortable. But what is removed makes room for what is necessary. Spiritual discipline is another pillar of alignment. Prayer is not religious routine, it is calibration. Just as a compass must be adjusted to maintain accuracy, your spirit must be recalibrated through communion with God. When prayer weakens, clarity weakens. When discipline fades, distraction increases. Alignment thrives where consistency exists. Humility also plays a critical role. Pride blinds. It convinces you that you already know enough. It resists correction. It rejects counsel. But humility keeps you teachable. It allows you to adjust when God exposes error. It gives you the flexibility to pivot when direction changes. A rigid spirit struggles with alignment. A humble spirit adapts. Sometimes alignment looks like slowing down. Other times it looks like stepping out boldly. The key is discernment. There are seasons where waiting is obedience. There are seasons where action is obedience. The challenge is not movement or stillness. It is knowing which one God requires in that moment. When alignment is established, acceleration follows naturally. Doors open without manipulation. Opportunities locate you without desperate striving. Favor flows without excessive effort. This does not mean there will be no challenges. It means there will be grace for those challenges. There is a difference between fighting battles assigned to you and fighting battles you created through misalignment. Alignment also positions you for sustainability. Many people rise quickly but fall just as fast because they skipped alignment. They chased visibility without foundation. They pursued influence without character. But when alignment precedes elevation, stability accompanies success. There will be moments when alignment demands sacrifice. You may have to walk away from comfort. You may have to choose long-term purpose over short-term pleasure. You may have to disappoint people to remain faithful to your calling. But every sacrifice made for alignment secures a stronger future. The law of alignment is simple yet profound. When your heart, your actions, and your direction agree with God's will, shifts become inevitable. You no longer force doors open. You walk into what has already been prepared. You no longer chase validation. You rest in identity. You no longer fear change. You welcome it because you trust the one leading you. If a sudden shift is about to change your direction, alignment is the preparation. Obedience positions you. Sensitivity guides you. Humility protects you. Discipline sustains you. And when all these elements come together, you will not merely experience a change. You will step into a divinely orchestrated transition that carries the signature of heaven. There are seasons in life where it feels like you are moving, yet nothing is changing. The calendar advances, but your circumstances remain the same. The battles look different on the surface, but the patterns are identical underneath. It is the same disappointment in another form, the same struggle wearing a new face, the same limitation repeating itself year after year. This is the frustration of cycles. Cycles are subtle. They convince you that progress is happening because there is activity. But activity is not always advancement. You can be busy and still be bound. You can be trying and still be trapped. The danger of cycles is that they normalize stagnation. After a while, you stop expecting change. You adjust to survival mode. You lower your expectations to match your repeated experiences. But there is an anointing that terminates cycles. There is a grace that interrupts patterns that have overstayed their season. When God decides to break a cycle, he does not negotiate with it. He confronts it at its root. Many cycles are rooted in mindset. If you believe you will never go beyond a certain level, your actions will unconsciously align with that belief. If you see yourself as limited, you will resist opportunities that require expansion. If you carry fear from past failures, You may sabotage new beginnings before they fully develop. The mind can imprison destiny long before circumstances do. Other cycles are relational. You may consistently attract the same type of unhealthy connection because something within you has not healed. You may repeat patterns of trust, compromise, or insecurity that recreate familiar pain. Until healing takes place, history tends to repeat itself. There are also spiritual dimensions to cycles. Some patterns are reinforced by unseen resistance, generational limitations, lingering spiritual battles, unbroken habits that give access to recurring struggles. These cycles cannot be solved by motivation alone. They require spiritual authority, intentional prayer, and decisive action. Breaking cycles begins with awareness. You cannot defeat what you refuse to acknowledge. Instead of blaming everyone else, you ask honest questions. Why does this keep happening? What role am I playing in this pattern? What lesson have I avoided learning? Self-reflection is not condemnation. It is empowerment. It allows you to identify the root instead of trimming the branches. Once awareness comes, responsibility must follow. It is easier to blame circumstances than to change habits. But cycles thrive where responsibility is absent. If you always react emotionally, you must develop discipline. If you consistently procrastinate, you must cultivate structure. If fear controls your decisions, you must confront it directly. Change demands intentionality. Breaking cycles also requires new choices. You cannot expect different results while repeating identical behaviors. If you remain in the same environment, think the same thoughts, entertain the same influences, and avoid the same risks, you will continue to produce the same outcomes. A shift requires divergence. It requires you to respond differently than you did before. There is often resistance when you attempt to break a pattern. Familiarity fights back. Comfort zones resist expansion. Old habits whisper that change is unnecessary. But growth always feels uncomfortable at first. The discomfort is evidence that you are stepping beyond limitation. Spiritual cycles are broken through authority. Prayer is not just communication, it is confrontation. When you pray with understanding, you are not begging, you are declaring. You are establishing a boundary in the spirit that certain patterns can no longer cross. You are closing doors that have remained open for too long. However, prayer must be partnered with action. You cannot pray for financial breakthrough while maintaining reckless spending habits. You cannot pray for healthy relationships while ignoring toxic behaviors. You cannot pray for discipline while entertaining distractions daily. Faith without transformation sustains cycles rather than breaking them. Sometimes cycles persist because you have tolerated what you should have confronted. You adapted to dysfunction instead of challenging it. You accepted less than your worth because it felt easier than demanding change. But when you decide that enough is enough, something shifts internally. Your standards rise, your boundaries strengthen, your discernment sharpens. Breaking cycles may require separation. Certain environments reinforce limitation. Certain relationships keep you small. Certain conversations feed insecurity. You must have the courage to step away from what sustains the pattern if you truly desire freedom from it. There is also grace available. You are not breaking cycles alone. When heaven partners with your decisions, strength multiplies. Weakness becomes manageable. Temptations lose intensity. New opportunities appear. The same doors that once closed repeatedly may suddenly remain open. And when a cycle finally breaks, the difference is undeniable. What once felt heavy becomes light. What once required exhausting effort begins to flow naturally. The repeated struggle loses its grip. Momentum replaces stagnation. Hope replaces frustration. Cycles do not end accidentally. They end intentionally. They end when awareness meets responsibility, when prayer meets action, when courage meets decision. They end when you refuse to accept yesterday's limitation as tomorrow's destiny. If a sudden shift is about to change your direction, it must first confront and terminate the patterns that have delayed you. Because you cannot carry old cycles into new seasons. You cannot step into higher levels while dragging repetitive limitations behind you. The anointing that brings a shift also brings separation from stagnation. It dismantles what has confined you. It breaks what has repeated. It liberates what has been bound. And when the cycle ends, you do not merely experience change, you experience freedom that propels you into a future no longer defined by your past. There are moments in destiny when God does not just move, he accelerates. He compresses time. He restores years. He causes what should have taken a decade to happen within a season. This is the mystery of prophetic acceleration. It is not human speed. It is divine intervention in the timeline of a man. Many people understand process, but few understand acceleration. Process is gradual. It teaches patience, discipline, and endurance. But acceleration is sudden. It feels almost overwhelming because things begin to move faster than you anticipated. Opportunities appear rapidly. Doors open back to back. Connections align in ways that seem orchestrated beyond human planning. Prophetic acceleration does not ignore process. It builds upon it. God does not accelerate the unprepared. He accelerates the one who has endured quietly. The one who remained faithful when nothing was visible. The one who developed capacity in hidden seasons. When the time is right, heaven breathes upon years of preparation and multiplies the results. There are people who feel behind in life. You compare your progress with others and feel as though time has been wasted. You think of missed opportunities, delayed breakthroughs, and seasons that seemed unproductive. But acceleration has the power to restore what delay appeared to steal. God is not limited by your past. He can redeem time. Time redemption does not mean going back. It means moving forward faster than expected. It means that wisdom gained through hardship positions you to avoid mistakes others make. It means that lessons learned in obscurity become advantages in visibility. It means that what once looked like loss becomes leverage. Acceleration also requires readiness. When things begin to move quickly, hesitation can cost you. There are moments when you must respond immediately to divine opportunities. If fear causes delay, the window may close. Sensitivity to God's voice becomes crucial. You must recognize when acceleration has begun and adjust accordingly. One of the signs of prophetic acceleration is unusual favor. Situations that once resisted you begin to cooperate. People who did not notice you suddenly recognize your value. Resources that were unavailable become accessible. It is not manipulation. It is divine endorsement. When God accelerates you, he speaks to systems on your behalf. Another sign is clarity. Confusion that lingered for years dissolves. Direction becomes precise. You know what to pursue and what to ignore. Distractions lose their appeal. Focus sharpens. Acceleration thrives in clarity because divided attention slows momentum. However, acceleration can feel overwhelming if character has not matured. Speed magnifies weaknesses. If pride exists, acceleration may inflate it. If insecurity exists, acceleration may expose it. That is why hidden seasons are important. They build the internal structure necessary to sustain external growth. Prophetic acceleration does not eliminate responsibility. In fact, it increases it. As influence grows, accountability expands. As doors open, expectations rise. You must steward acceleration wisely. Growth without stewardship leads to collapse, but growth with wisdom leads to legacy. There is also a spiritual dimension. Acceleration is often preceded by intense spiritual pressure. Resistance may increase before release comes. Battles may intensify before breakthrough manifests. It is as though the enemy senses that time is about to be redeemed and attempts to discourage you prematurely. But pressure is often proof that something significant is near. When acceleration begins, relationships may shift quickly. New alliances form. Old connections fade. You may find yourself in rooms you once only imagined. Conversations that used to feel distant become accessible. It can feel surreal, but remember, what feels sudden to you was planned by God long ago. Acceleration also demands humility. Never assume that speed is self-generated. Never take credit for grace. When progress multiplies rapidly, remain grounded. Gratitude protects acceleration. Arrogance threatens it. The more God lifts you, the more you must depend on him. There are seasons where you push with effort. Then there are seasons where grace carries you. Prophetic acceleration is when grace outweighs effort. It does not mean you stop working. It means your work produces multiplied results. A single connection opens multiple doors. A single idea generates streams of opportunity. A single moment changes years of narrative. For those who feel late, acceleration brings hope. You are not disqualified because you started slowly. You are not finished because you experienced delay. When God decides to move, he moves decisively. He can reposition you in 1 year beyond where you thought you would be in 10. But do not chase acceleration without alignment. Speed without direction leads to confusion. Acceleration must be anchored in purpose. When you are aligned with your assignment, acceleration enhances destiny instead of distracting from it. Be prepared for sudden changes. Be prepared for quick transitions. Be prepared for doors that require immediate faith. When acceleration comes, hesitation can slow what grace has initiated. Courage must accompany opportunity. And when it happens, do not fear the pace. Embrace it. Trust that the same God who initiated the acceleration will sustain it. Trust that the one who redeemed time will also manage the increase. Prophetic acceleration is heaven's way of announcing that your waiting was not wasted. It is the divine declaration that delay has expired. It is the restoration of momentum. It is the swift hand of God rewriting your timeline in a way that only he can orchestrate. When the shift comes, it may feel sudden, but remember, it is not random. It is the combination of faith, endurance, alignment, and preparation. And once acceleration begins, your direction will not just change, it will advance with a speed that reveals the unmistakable signature of God. Stepping into a new direction is rarely comfortable. It sounds exciting when spoken prophetically, but when it begins to unfold in real time, it demands courage. A new direction means unfamiliar territory. It means leaving what you have mastered and entering what you must learn. It means releasing the security of predictability and embracing the uncertainty of growth. Many people pray for change, but when change arrives, fear attempts to paralyze them. The old season may have been limiting, but at least it was familiar. You understood its rules. You knew its boundaries. A new direction, however, requires faith. It requires movement without full visibility. It requires trusting God beyond logic. The first step into a new direction is internal acceptance. Before your environment changes, your mindset must shift. If your thinking remains tied to your past season, you will sabotage your future one. You cannot carry an old identity into a new assignment. If God is elevating you, you must see yourself differently. If He's expanding you, you must think beyond previous limitations. There are moments when opportunities appear that feel larger than your current capacity. You may feel unqualified. You may question whether you are ready. But understand this: divine direction often stretches you beyond comfort. Growth is not designed to feel convenient. The very discomfort you feel may be proof that you are stepping into expansion. Walking boldly into unfamiliar territory also requires silencing external noise. Not everyone will understand your shift. Some will question your decisions. Others may project their fears onto you. If you allow every opinion to influence you, you will hesitate at critical moments. Confidence in God's voice must outweigh the volume of human doubt. Courage does not mean absence of fear. It means movement despite it. You may feel nervous, but you move. You may feel uncertain, but you act. Faith is not emotional certainty. It is spiritual conviction. It is knowing that if God is leading, provision will follow. Another dimension of stepping into a new direction is discipline. New levels demand new habits. You cannot enter greater influence with casual preparation. You cannot sustain expansion with inconsistent effort. The same prayers that brought you here must continue. The same hunger for growth must intensify. Elevation increases responsibility. There is also a need for adaptability. New seasons have different requirements. What worked before may not work now. Strategies must evolve. Mindsets must mature. You must be willing to learn again. Pride resists learning, but humility embraces it. The willingness to grow protects your new direction from stagnation. As you step forward, there may be moments of loneliness. When direction changes, circles often change as well. Some relationships cannot follow where you are going. Not because they are evil, but because they are seasonal. Releasing familiar connections can be painful, but clinging to them can hinder destiny. Trust that God replaces what aligns with purpose. In unfamiliar territory, sensitivity becomes critical. You must remain attentive to God's guidance. A new direction is not a one-time instruction. It is an ongoing journey. Each step may require adjustment. Each decision may require discernment. Stay connected spiritually so you do not drift. There will also be tests. Every new level comes with new challenges. Opposition may attempt to intimidate you back into your comfort zone. Doubt may whisper that you were better off before. But remember why the shift occurred. You were not redirected to retreat. You were redirected to advance. Confidence grows as you take action. The first step may feel small, but momentum builds through movement. When you see small victories, faith strengthens. When you overcome minor obstacles, resilience increases. Progress, even gradual, confirms that you are capable. Stepping into a new direction also means embracing vision. You must see beyond present limitations. Vision keeps you motivated when results are not immediate. It reminds you of why you left the old season. It anchors you when the path feels unclear. Guard your focus. Distraction is one of the greatest threats to new beginnings. When opportunities increase, so do alternatives. Not every open door is your assignment. Just because something is available does not mean it is aligned. Clarity about your purpose helps you choose wisely. As you move forward, celebrate progress. Do not wait for perfection before acknowledging growth. Every step matters. Every improvement counts. Gratitude sustains joy in transition. Most importantly, trust the one who redirected you. If God initiated the shift, he has already gone before you. He has prepared provision, connections, and grace. You are not walking alone. Even when the path seems unfamiliar, you are guided. The boldness required to step into a new direction is not self-generated. It flows from identity. When you know who you are in God, you are less intimidated by where you are going. You understand that your worth is not tied to comfort, but to calling. A sudden shift is not merely about changing location or circumstance. It is about transformation. It is about stepping into a version of yourself that was always within you but required faith to manifest. It is about embracing growth without apology. So walk forward. Even if your steps feel small, even if your hands tremble slightly, even if answers are incomplete, progress is not about having everything figured out. It is about trusting enough to move. Your new direction is not an accident. It is an invitation to expand, to mature, to rise. And as you step boldly into unfamiliar territory, you will discover that what once intimidated you will eventually become your new normal. The same ground that felt uncertain will become stable beneath your feet. And the direction that once seemed daunting will reveal itself as destiny, unfolding exactly as it was meant to. There are moments in life that redefine everything. Moments when heaven steps into time and shifts the narrative of a man. This is not just about a date on the calendar. It is about divine intention. It is about God declaring that a season has completed its assignment and a new one has begun. You have endured process. You have faced interruption. You have confronted cycles. You have been aligned and prepared for acceleration. None of it was wasted. Every delay refined you. Every battle strengthened you. Every disappointment redirected you. What felt confusing was construction. What felt like silence was strategy. Now the shift comes, not because you forced it, not because you manipulated it, but because divine timing has matured. When God changes your direction, it is permanent. It is purposeful. It carries grace that sustains what it begins. The same God who led you through hidden seasons will walk with you into visible ones. Do not fear the unfamiliar. Do not shrink back because of speed. Do not question your worth because the opportunity feels larger than you expected. If he ordained the shift, he has equipped you for it. This is your moment to rise with confidence, to move with boldness, and to trust without hesitation. The old season has served its purpose. The new direction is calling your name. Step forward. Heaven has already gone ahead of you.